Hi guys, it's Debbie with Debbie J's Crafting Corner. Today I'm going to be creating with the Seranade of Autumn collection. I've got 3 products from that one. We've got the sunflower border, and these are all Betterpress. Sunflower border with this sunflower Betterpress plate and a sentiment that says just a note. Got this Seranade of Autumn vellum with foil. Now when I first saw this and first got it, I thought it was just all of this one design, but it's not. So we've got that pretty flower mandala, we've got this pretty floral, and then we've got these autumn leaves, or they could basically be any leaves if you decided to add some color to them. So these are all super pretty. There's 2 of each design in here, so you get 6 sheets of vellum with the foil already autumn, which means, of course, now I'm wanting to try foiling or do more of foiling on vellum with my regular glimmer plates. Okay, we also have the fancy sentiment strips, which is all of the plates and all the dies, so you get to do it all in one go. And we've got just saying hello, happy anniversary, love you always, especially for you, congratulations, happy birthday, Merry Christmas, and a million thanks. So a lot of fun occasions there. So this is one set that might be a good idea to get so that you've got the sentiments to go on all the things. So let's go ahead and start putting together a card or 2. Not sure what I'm gonna do. Okay, I say that every video that I'm not sure what I'm gonna do, but it's the absolute truth. I will I will come up with something, but let's go ahead and get started. So first I'm going to put my cardstock onto the platen of my Betterpress. So this is basically this plastic cover piece, and we're going to put it in using the little grid marks on there. So because it's A2 size, I'm using some of the Betterpress paper this time around, and then I'm going to also ink up my sentiment plate here. So to do this, you just do a tap and twist to get that ink on there. And I'm using the Betterpress black. I think I'm going to do some more using some more of my archival inks. The Betterpress ink is archival. I need to get some more colors, but yeah, I haven't done that yet. Anyhow, we're just going to add plenty of ink down. And then we're going to position our paper. The way that this one works, each of these 4 corners is a spring-loaded magnet. Oops, I just realized something. Since I'm using the Betterpress paper, I'm not going to use my additional shim. I've been using an additional shim for when I'm using regular cardstock to make it so that I get a little bit better impression. You do want to turn this over so the paper is facing the plate. I've done it the other way before. It does not work if the paper doesn't touch it. And I'm just going to tap that on there, and this is going to cause the plate, the paper, to hover. Also, this is a magnetic platform, so our Betterpress plate stays in place. Now I'm going to just run that through my Platinum 6 die cutting machine, and we're going to get a perfect stamping of all of those, and it's going to impress into that pretty paper. You just run it through once. You don't want to come back, because if it happens to shift a little bit, you could get some ghosting. I have done that before. And we just lift this off, and there we go. Perfect impression. It dries really quick, and you can feel how it's pressed into the paper. It feels very nice. So next we're just going to take the die and die cut those out. So we just line it up and try to have everything kind of sort of straight, and just tape it in place, so just in case it shifts. Usually I don't get any shiftage since I started using my Magic Mat. It keeps everything pretty much flat, and as long as everything's flat, it normally stays in place. So I'm going to go ahead and run that through, and we have some perfect little sentiments. So this vellum is just so pretty. I'm going to go ahead and color it up. I'm going to flip it over, and just using my paper pouncers, I'll have to make sure I'm looking closely to see where the little mandalas are. I can see it. You guys may not be able to, but I'm going to use a couple of different colors. I figure this will be kind of a fun, bright, vibrant kind of card. And I'm just going to go right over let's see how this works. We start off with the blue, going right over where one of those mandalas is, and then we'll flip it over and see what it looks like. So it does add a little bit of color there. You don't see a lot. Oh, but when we put some white cardstock behind it, you can definitely see it. I may go in, I think I'm going to go in and pounce it a few more times to get a little bit darker. But I'm going on the back, partially because I don't want to take the chance of messing up anything with the foil. I don't think it's going to mess up anything with the foil. It should still be fine. But I'm going to be overcautious. Also don't want to accidentally rub anything over it, or it's actually going to save me some time because normally you would buff if you do anything over foil to make sure that the foil stays nice and bright, right? So let's take another look. I think it looks fabulous. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with all of my other little flowers here. I'm going to just start off with kind of a random 3 of them, and if I go outside the lines, it is totally fine. I'll just look more artsy, right? So I'm going to put this onto an A2 size card base. So it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I need to trim down this guy to 5 1/2. So it's basically trimming off about a 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to leave the rest on. Now you're probably wondering what? And that's because I don't really want the adhesive to be showing. So what I'm going to do, you won't really see it over the yellow, but I'm going to wrap it around a white card panel that's also cut down to 5 1/2. This one's actually cut down 5 1/2 by 4. And that is so that I can adhere this. First off, it's going to show a little bit of that yellow behind it, and that's kind of what I want. But I'm going to wrap it so that we don't see the adhesive. So it's going to be attached on the back using some double stick tape, double-sided adhesive. And this is because vellum is a plastic, so we need something that's going to be pretty strong to hold it in place. Liquid glue, it can sometimes work, but sometimes doesn't. And I'm just going to be extra cautious. This stuff usually holds pretty well to plastics. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do one side and fold that up. There we go. And then we're going to do the same thing with the other side. I'm going to burnish this pretty well on this side. And that also is going to trap all of the ink we added inside the card. Okay, burnish that down. And now we have our completed background that I can adhere onto the card base. So I'll cut it down to 5 1/4. And now we're going to have that nice little matting layer. We've got like that 1/8 of an inch. And then I'm picking out one of the sentiments. And I did go back and do a couple more rounds of the sentiment panels. So I've got some blue ones and I've got some red ones. These I just use regular archival ink because I don't have any more of the Betterpress inks. Need to get some. But I figure I'm going to do that. And then I went into my stash and pulled out some flowers that I think will go pretty nicely. These are orange, so it's going to be a different color along with the primaries, but I would say go into your stash, see what you have, and just start layering things up. And since we're adding these to the top of the vellum, we can go ahead and add regular adhesive or foam tape for that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and add this panel down. That is just so lovely. Okay, so I'm putting all of these guys down. I did put my main flower down on some foam, so I'll have some room to be able to tuck these other pieces behind, and I'm going to use some liquid glue to adhere them, and then put an acrylic block on there to make sure that it has time to adhere. And that's going to finish up that card. You can still see all of that pretty foil shine. So for my next card, or cards, I'm going to use this big sunflower border and just coloring it up in some orange ink. This is, again, some archival ink, but I would say use what you have in your stash, experiment, and see how it works. Each ink is going to react a little bit differently. If you use the Betterpress ink, it is thicker, so it works better. You get a much better coverage and impression and all of that, but that doesn't mean some of the other ones don't work as well. So I like using everything that I have in my stash. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to go with that one. And I need to put a panel down onto the platen again. This time I'm using a bigger piece, and I'm going to do this guy. I'm just basically making a little circle, putting it on the back of my panel so that I can adhere it straight down to the platen. And we're not going to have, this is because I am going to be stamping off the edge all over, basically, and it'll be a little bit hard to try to tack it down without, you know, blocking some of the image. So we're going to just flip it over like we did before and put that down onto the magnets, and then we will run it through my Platinum 6 die cutting machine. Okay, so let's take a look and see what that impression looks like. And that turned out fabulous. Next, we're going to trim down our panel. I'm making the main panel 3 3/4 by 5. So that way we can have a nice matting layer and that little bit of white space around the edges. I've already trimmed down a black panel as my matting layer down to 4 by 5 3/4. No, 5 1/4. Yeah. Anyway, just slightly smaller than an A2 size card base. So I'll go ahead and put that down onto my card base, and then I can add my main panel. For my card base, I'm using top folding vertical. And then we can pick out one of the sentiments that I did earlier. I actually did 3 different colors. So I've got some red and black and blue. And for my first card, I've already done one. I've got a couple more to go. Let's see, what do I want to do on this one? I think I'm wanting to go with just saying hello, and let's go in black, and I'm going to pop that up on a little foam. There we go, and then I'm going to add a few little gems over the card too, just to finish it off. And that's going to finish up that card.
I love how all of these cards turned out. You guys be sure to check out this playlist to see some more videos where I'm using Spellbinders products, and I will talk to you next time. Bye guys!